Hello students, welcome to our today lecture. In our today lecture, we will discuss the supply side of the economy. Basically, when we are discussing supply side, we have to take ourselves as a producer. And when we are discussing demand side of the market, we have to consider ourselves as a consumer. At the moment, we are discussing about the supply side of the economy. So now we have to discuss or we have to consider ourselves as a supplier, we have to consider ourselves as a producer of that good. So in this way, you can easily understand the concept of supply. So now let's start. What is the difference between supply and stock? Basically, everything which is produced and sent to the market for sale at a specific price, that is called supply, which is available in the market for sale, that is called supply. And what is stock? Stock means that everything which is produced but not sent to the market for a sale at a certain price, that is called stock. That is being kept in our warehouses. Everything which is made and no price is decided yet, that is called stock. We will decide stock price on the basis of those quantities which we have already sent in the market. If our good is selling well, then we increase the price of the remaining product which are being kept in the warehouses. So supply is anything which is available in the market for a sale at a certain price, but stock is a thing which is made but no price is decided yet, and it is not available in the market for a sale. As in our previous lecture we have discussed about law of demand, but now we will discuss law of supply. As I told earlier that before making any law in economics, we have to take certain kind of assumptions. So similarly, in the case of law of supply, we have to take certain kind of assumptions. Or we have to write holding everything else constant, or ceteris paribus, or there is no change in all other things, then increase in a price of product can increase the quantity supply, and a decrease in the price of a product cause a decrease in the quantity supply. So there is a positive relationship between price and quantity supply. When price increases, as a result, supply also increases. So there is a direct or a positive relationship between price and quantity supply. Price increases, supply also increases, and when price decreases, supply also decreases. Why this is happening? When price is increasing, supply is increasing, and when price is decreasing and supply is also decreasing? As at the beginning of today lecture, I told you that when you are discussing about supply, you have to take yourself as a producer. Being a producer of a laptop, when I came to know that price of our laptop increases, then in order to earn more profit, I will supply more number of laptop in the market. So when more laptop sold out, it will increase my revenue and ultimately it will increase my profit. So being a producer, whenever our product price increases, we supply more. Why we supply more? Because we entered in the market to earn profit. So when price increases, our revenue increases. So in order to capture more revenue, we will increase our supply. What is mean by market supply? Market supply basically the supply of all the firm which are operating in the market. When we add up all the supply of all those firms, that is called market supply. Moving on, let's discuss what is meant by quantity supply, supply schedule and supply curve. Quantity supply means that the amount of goods or the number of goods that firm is willing to sell at a specific price, at a given price. That is called quantity supply. And what is meant by supply schedule? Supply schedule mean a table that is showing the relationship between price and different quantities, that is called supply schedule. And when we plot all those values of a table on a graph, that is called supply curve. As you can see that we have different prices against different supply, that is called supply schedule. And when we plot all these values on a graph, that is called supply curve. At the beginning, when the price is 700, we are supplying 7 million tablets in the market. When price goes down from 700 to 600, we have decreased our supply from 7 to 600. And when price decreases from 600 to 400, we have decreases our supply 6 to 5 million. And similarly, as the price goes down further, we have decreasing our supply goes further. And when price is 300, we are supplying 3 million tablets in the market. Price is decreasing, so our revenue is decreasing, so we are willing to sell less tablet at this price. And when we join all these points, we have a supply curve, and it is positive slope because there is a positive relationship between price and quantity supply. When price is decreasing, supply is also decreasing, and when price is increasing, supply is also increasing. And why we are calling it as a supply curve? Because supply is a dependent variable. Our supply decision is depending on price. We will supply more if price is going higher. We will supply less if the price goes less. So first change is occur in price. So anything which changes first, that is called independent variable. And after that, if variable changes, that is called dependent variable. So first change is occur in price, and then our supply changes, that is called dependent variable. So in economics, we named every curve after its dependent variable. So here supply is dependent variable. So that is why we are calling it as a supply curve. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about change in quantity demand and change in demand. So similarly, there is a difference between change in supply and change in quantity supply. Change in supply means that when there is change in supply due to factor other than price. And change in quantity supply means when there is change in supply due to price. So now let's discuss these in a graph and a table form. As you can see in this table, there is no change in price. Price is constant at 10, but quantity supplied decreases from 25 to 20. So this will shift our supply curve to the left side. Price is 10, quantity is 25. Price is 10, but quantity supplied decreases from 25 to 20. So in this case, our demand curve will shift to, our supply curve will shift to left. As in the case of demand, we discussed that all other variables which are being kept constant, when any change in those variables, they will shift our curve. So similarly, in the case of supply, when any of these variable is constant and other is changing, then there will be shifting of that curve. So in this case, price is constant but quantity supply is changing, so it will shift our curve. In this case, Price is same, price is 10, but quantity supply increases from 20 to 25. So this will also shift our supply curve. But in this case, our supply curve will shift to right. Why supply curve is shifting to rightward? Because supply is increasing. So when supply increases and price remain constant, supply curve will shift to rightward. And when price remain constant and supply decreases, supply curve will shift leftward. These are the major 5 factors which shift the supply curve. So now let's discuss each of them one by one. First factor is price of input. Price of input means the price of raw material which are being used for the output. So if the price of input increases, our cost increases, so we will supply less in the market. We are supplying less in the market not because of price decreases. Price is same, but our cost of production increases, so we will decided that we will supply less in the market. So in this way our curve will be shifted because our supply decision is affected by other factors, not by price. The next factor is technological changes. If we set a new technology into our firm as compared to the old technology, then we will produce more number of units in a similar working time. So this will increase our supply. And in this case, our supply curve will also be shifted. Why supply curve will be shifted? Because our supply increases not because of price, but because of technological changes. So any change other than the price will shift our supply curve. And the next variable is price of substitute in production. So any increase in the price of substitute in production decreases the supply of initial good. So similarly, this supply decision is not depending on the price of that good. This supply decision is depending on the price of substitutes which are being used in the production process. So in this case, our supply curve will also shift it. The next variable will shift our supply curve, that is number of firm in the market. If number of firm increases in the market, then production increases. As a result, supply increases. If there is a decrease in number of firm in the market, then production decreases and supply decreases. Similarly, in this case, supply increases or decreases is not depending on price, that is depending on some other factors like the number of firm. So this will also shift our supply curve. And the last factor which shift our supply curve, that is expected future prices. When firm realizes that in future price of product is going higher, then they will stop the supply of that good in order to earn more profit in future when the price goes higher. So similarly, supply decision is not affected by current prices. Supply decision have changed due to future prices which occur in after some time period. So any change in supply not because of price, that will shift our supply curve. And what is meant by change in supply and change in quantity supply? Change in supply means when there is change in supply due to factor other than price, that is called change in supply. And when there is change in supply due to change in price, that is called change in quantity supply. So now let's discuss shifting and movement of the quantity supply in a single curve. As you can see that In case of movement, price and quantity supply both are changing. Price increases from $500 to $600 and quantity supply increases from 5 million to 6 million tablets. So both variable are changing, and when both variable are changing, this will be the case of movement of the curve. Price is 500 and the quantity is 5. Price increases from 500 to 600, quantity increases from 5 to 6. So we are on a single supply curve. So the moving from point A to B, that is called movement along the curve. Movement occur when both of these variable changes, as you can see in the table and you also can see in the graph. While shifting occur when one variable is fixed and the other is changing. As you can see in the table that price is fixed at 600 but quantity supply is increases from 6 to 8. Price is 600 and the quantity supply is 6. Price is 600 and quantity supply is 8. And we have a different supply curve. So supply curve shifted from S1 to S2. Supply increases from 6 to 8. So that increase in supply will shift our supply curve. Why? Because supply price is fixed and supply is increasing. So that is it for the supply side of the market.